Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And it looks like we've got some class tuning incoming on May 16th that is definitely going to be impacting the game across the board, whether it's PvE or PvP. And what I really like about this set of changes is that it appears to be targeting buffs towards underrepresented classes and trying to work towards getting them into a more competitive place. And if you want to stay up to date with changes like this, so you're always ahead of the competition, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated in my long-term goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers, so I would love for you to be a part of that. But let's get started because there is a lot of tuning. There's a lot of changes for these classes. In response to the initial Season 2 results and player feedback, we're working on the following adjustments to classes. We plan to implement all of the changes below during a scheduled weekly maintenance, which is Tuesday, May 16th in this region. Death Knight. Frost Death Knights. You're finally getting some attention. For Frost, you're getting a 3% damage buff overall, a 5% obliterate damage increase, a 6% Frost Strike increase, a 6% Howling Blast increase, an 8% Remorseless Winter damage increase, and a 12% Frost Fever damage increase, just bringing up all of your sustained damage, which is a really good direction for the spec because if you've played Frost or you've played against it, you know they pretty much only do burst damage and then they kind of fall off for a while after that. So really impressive changes here. For Demon Hunter, really strange we're not seeing PvP offsets for this, but Chaos Strike and Annihilation damage has been increased by 10%. First Blood talent damage bonus to first enemy struck has been increased to 95%, up from 75% as a big buff to your Death Sweep. And your Inner Demon talent is going to get a 30% increase, so we might potentially see this talent see more play for Demon Hunters. For Boomkin specifically, they're actually buffing our previous set bonus. It's going to cause our next Starfall or Star Surge to cost 10 less Astral Power, and its damage is increased by 25%. In PvP, I still don't think you're going to wear the old 4-piece over the current honor gear. The stamina and intellect, I think, is just worth more. It'd be different if they completely reverted it to being like a free Starfall again, then I would probably wear it. But yeah, in this position, Resto Druid, Rejuvenation mana is just being reduced by 1%. Obviously, Rejuvenation is a spell that you're using quite frequently, so a 1% change on something you're spamming the whole time might have some big implications on your overall mana retention, which has been a big problem for Resto Druid, at least in PvP. For Beast Mastery Hunters, we're seeing your 4-set bonus cooldown reduction for Bestial Wrath increased to 2 seconds, up from 1. Your Kill Cleave now strikes nearby enemies for 80% of the damage, up from 60, and Beast Cleave now causes your pet to strike nearby targets for 40 to 80% increased damage, up from 35 to 75. So focusing on increasing your AoE damage, but this cooldown reduction for Bestial Wrath on your set bonus is going to be a big buff for PvP. For Frost Mage, you're just getting a 4% damage buff across the board. For Elemental Shaman, you're getting a 2% damage buff across the board, which honestly for Elemental Shaman and how much damage they're doing at the moment, 2% is still going to be a lot. Your set bonus is going to now grant 3% damage, stacking 3 times, down from 5%, stacking up to 5 times, but you'll get to the peak faster. For Affliction, we're seeing a 3% damage increase. Again, a bit surprising, like even 3% is a lot when you know, if we saw Boomkin here with 3% damage increase too, it'd be like, oh my god, it's a lot of damage. Now we're getting into the player versus player changes, and these ones are going to have some big impacts. Some of them honestly are surprising. For Unholy Death Knight, they're nerfing the reanimation explosion to only deal 15% of a target's health and damage, down from 20%. I don't know if you have seen this talent being really problematic, but I'm kind of surprised to see it get nerfed, considering Death Knight is not, like, I wouldn't say spectacular, and this was the one thing that was enabling it to do something, so a little surprising. Allied players are no longer going to see the explosion ring for the visual from the reanimation. That's kind of frustrating because how you could like coordinate with your teammates on stunning and keeping people in them. Maybe they don't want people coordinating it. Maybe you're cheesing people too hard. I don't know why they're doing this other than that. If this is supposed to like help players because it's too much visual stuff going on the screen, it's actually bad because you want to be able to see when that explosion's happening so you could stun or maybe help the Death Knight keep somebody inside of it, right? Reanimation stun debuff is now going to use the correct spell icon. For developer notes, we've been monitoring our changes to reanimation and have felt its damage is too high relative to how much control Death Knights have over enemies' positioning. So obviously you could set up a lot of grips and pull people into the bombs, but like that was actually kind of like the cool, new, exciting part of the talent, and they're not really getting anything to compensate for that. Now, Frost Death Knight, you got a bunch of those buffs, but it looks like they're going to be nerfing you too at the same time. Your Pillar of Frost is now only going to increase your strength by 15%, down from 25. They have to be really careful with this because if they kill your burst windows and your sustain doesn't come up high enough, you're you're completely useless. So they got to be really careful with this. Frost Death Knights have been on our radar as underperforming, but still effective in the right situations. We're reducing their burst damage alongside their game-wide damage increases with the goal of healthier overall damage profile. So they might need another tweak on this because that is a significant drop in strength during your burst window. For Demon Hunter, they're targeting the Rain from Above PvP talent. Fell Lance damage is going to be reduced to 8% of a max health, down from 10. Obviously, if we've seen Demon Hunters in this most recent patch flying up and just absolutely clobbering people from the skies, so I'm not really surprised to see this receive a little of a slight tweak. For Monk, we are seeing Strength of Spirit now increase the healing of Expel Harm by up to 50% based on your missing health in PvP combat, down from 100%. So a big nerf towards Expel Harm. For Windwalker Monk, I believe that's a nerf. Wait a minute. Now increases the healing of Expel Harm by 50% based on your missing health, down from 100. That seems like a nerf, right? You know, sometimes I read these wrong and you guys tell me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's a pretty significant nerf. For Windwalker Monk, Reverse Harm now increases the healing done by Expel Harm to 30%, down from 60. Expel's Harm's healing was dramatically increased with Season 2. We're happy with the base healing of the spell, but modifiers from Reverse Harm and Strength of Spirit are making it more powerful than we intended. This isn't even really a spell that was on my radar, if I'm being real with everything that's happened on this patch. So some survivability nerfs here to Monk. For Priest, for Holy, oh my goodness. This is the love and tender care that you really needed because you were in a really bad spot. Renew healing increased by 34%, was previously 22%. Flash healing increased by 52%, up from 40. Your heal has been increased to 57%, up from 43. And your Holy Word Sanctify is just going to heal 10% more in PvP combat. Your Holy Word Serenity is going to get a 10% buff to 25% in PvP combat. Developers notes, Holy Priests have continued to underperform in PvP, so we are buffing several of their primary healing spells. This is certainly going to help your throughput, no doubt, here for Holy Priest, so definitely getting some love. For Enhancement Shaman, Earth Shield's healing has been reduced by 30% PvP combat for Enhancement and Elemental. The healing contribution from Earth Shield and the Hybrid Shaman specs is above our target in PvP after recent buffs to the spell. So again, bringing in some of the hybrid healing. For Warlock, Call Observer is now only going to have 8% of the Warlock's health, down from 20%, so this should be a lot easier to kill. This has been a really tough mechanic. And for Destruction specifically, it's getting a 10% Incinerate damage reduction and a 20% nerf on their Shadow Burn damage, so going down from 65 to 45% damage increase. Destruction's sustained DPS in PvP, especially with instant cast, is higher than we'd like. We feel Chaos Bolt is in a good state, so we're targeting the other areas of the kit to bring down their DPS. Arms Warrior, Sharpened Blade cooldown increased to 30 seconds, and its duration has been decreased by 2 seconds. So you're not going to be able to have it as frequently, and it's not going to last as long, which is a really big deal. This is like the main mechanic for Arms Warrior, in my opinion, other than Skull Splitter Burst, which looks like it's getting targeted too. Skull Splitter now causes expired bleeds to deal 65% damage, down from 100%. I didn't even get to play this yet on my Warrior. I was still playing the old build. I didn't even get to play it, and it's getting nerfed in PvP combat. Deep Wounds, though, is getting buffed by 15% in PvP combat, and Rend will no longer deal 15% reduced damage in PvP combat, which I think offsets some of the Skull Splitter damage, right? Fueled by Violence is now going to heal for 70%, down from 85% of damage dealt from deep wounds in PvP combat. Developers notes, we feel Arms Warrior's burst window has been more effective than we would like in PvP. We're shifting their damage profile slightly to increase their consistent pressure, but decrease their burst damage. So I do like the overall direction of these changes, trying to get more classes into a sustained damage field, because it's always fun to just feel like the numbers you're pumping out are having an impact on the outcome of the game. And obviously it's not fun to just like, oh wow, I'm dead in 1 millisecond and you're okay, I killed you and got a really big crit. So reining those in, they targeted a lot of things that honestly weren't even on my radar or what I was thinking about. And I do like the buffs towards the underrepresented specs. Bit worried about Frost Death Knight. And we didn't see anything for Outlaw Rogue. I feel like Outlaw Rogue is really struggling. I think I saw a screenshot for Outlaw Rogue doing less damage than a Demon Hunter tank in a solo shuffle. Like, as much as rogues, they had their time and they were, they had the tyranny of rogues for a while. If rogue survivability, especially like Outlaw, is not like to the point where it's like you just can't take it down, I'm fine with it getting a damage buff, because it just feels like it's not really offering a lot so far in the patch here. Maybe it's kind of wait and see for subtlety and assassination, but it definitely feels like Outlaw would have been another underperformer that I'm surprised to not see, unless there's something they know that I don't, and maybe people aren't playing on the talents. So a bit surprising to not see it. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. This was a big update. This is going to shift the meta a lot potentially for things like Holy Priest. in terms of competitive PvP. You might be jumping up past a lot of the other healers. Seems like maybe they're not targeting Holy Paladin because of the rework that they're doing to them in 10.1.5, which I'll have linked at the end of the video here, because they're getting a huge slew of changes in that patch. So maybe they don't want to make some change that's going to just be reverted later on. A little uncertain, but Holy Paladin could have been another class as well. What are some classes that you think should have got some attention here for this update? Let me know again in the comments down below. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.